course, 5.
Wow.
One of them, we have our prerequisites, because before we want to show up and receive love in any man's life, we as women, we have to go back foundationally. And the reason why, because God created us as incubators, we incubate a lot. And a lot of times we have to go back to our daddylessness. We have to go back to our rejection. We have to go back to the women in our family that taught us, baby, use what you got to get what you want. You know what it is. We have to go back.
Do you desire love but feel, what's the point? Do you find yourself in repeated cycles? Do you long to be his preferred choice, yet continually reduced to an alternative? No Green Beans, a woman's guide to becoming the ultimate 5-course experience, is metaphorically written to depict the woman as the dimensional dining experience she was designed to be, and not a mere side of green beans. This brilliant transformational writing challenges and compels the woman to discover her worth, position her worth, and present her worth to real men who desire, pursue, and capture. Pre-order your signed copy today at www.nogreenbeans.com.
Great evening. I'm going to go live. Great evening. How's everyone doing? I am Atiyasamala here. I want you all to come on in if you aren't already here. Now, I am on several platforms at one time, so I am not able. Let me see. Sorry, you all. I'm on several platforms at one time. I normally do not go live on Instagram, but I am on IG on tonight. So you all come on in, come on in, come on in. This is really for the kings and the priests. Ladies, you are more than welcome to join us. Welcome, everyone. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Atiyasamala here. I am your author of No Green Beans, a woman's guide to becoming the ultimate 5 course experience right behind me. You can go ahead and order that at www.nogreenbeans.com. www.nogreenbeans.com. I am a transitional life coach. I simply help you get unstuck. Period, point blank. There comes a time in life when you are emerging and when you are transitioning. And there comes a time in life where you either have to sink or you have to swim. And I'm the one that comes to help you swim to the other side. I am also a love strategist. I help you be positioned for love because it's not enough to desire love. We have to position for what it is that we desire. So come on and welcome everyone on tonight. I got so much feedback about my title on tonight. That girl is poison. Never trust a big butt and a smile. This is for my kings and my priests on tonight. Ladies, I got us next week. I have us next week. I am called to serve women so that we understand our value. So that is a lot of what my premise is in our community. But can I tell you, I'm also called to kings and priests too, because I value the man. I honor the man. I feel like the man is God's idea in the earth. He are our leaders for our homes, our communities, and so much more. So, ladies, I'm sorry, you will never hear me say anything bad about a man. I honor men. I respect them to the highest because why? They are God's idea in the earth, and they are our leaders. They are our leaders. So tonight, kings and priests, this one is for you. This one is for you. So come on in. Come on in and come on in. We're going to be talking about that girl is poison, never trust a big butt and a smile. And I'm going to give you some indicators of how it is that you can identify a woman that carries toxic traits. How you can identify a woman that carries toxic traits. So if I'm looking all over the place because my camera is in two different direction. So in 1990, Belle Biv DeVoe, they came out with a song called "That Girl Is Poison, Never Trust a Big Butt and a Smile." And one of the things I remember about the song, they said, "Beware, she's scheming. She'll make you think you're dreaming. You'll fall in love and you'll be screaming, baby, baby." Woo. So, gentlemen, I came to tell you on tonight, just really to give you again some indicators because men are visual. A lot of times you see things before anything else, right? And that's fine. That's your instinct, right? That's your proclivity. It's the way you were created, right? When Adam looked at Eve, right? That's woe man, like right. So when you see us as women, you know what is it that you see? What is it that you notice first? It's clearly not our personalities because sometimes you don't even see that. So being visual is something that you are graced with, so to speak. But I want to give you some indicators tonight that is going to help you identify and make better choices when it comes to relationship. And just simply, men, if I can just be honest, so that you're not being played. That's for some that don't mind, because I have to say, we're living in a time now where certain things are glorified, and I like to call it. I mean, I'm just real. I'm just 100% authentic. It's high class escort. Right. So I'm sleeping with you and you're providing for me financially. And so not for everyone, but that's kind of sometimes the way as the world turns, it's becoming to be okay and it's becoming to be glorified. So I want to, men, if you are desiring something, if you're desiring something that is meaningful, I'm going to give you some indicators of a woman that carries toxic traits. Okay. A woman that carries toxic. So number one, so what is poison? What is poison? I am a teacher by heart, right? And so I love to give you foundation. I'm one of those what. You have to give me the why behind the what. So that's what we're going to talk about. So when we talk about poison, what is poison? A poison is a substance that usually kills, injures, or impairs something, right? Poison is something that usually kills, injures, or impairs something. It's something destructive. It is something harmful, something destructive and something harmful. So, our indicator number one is, how do you know if a woman carries toxicity? How do you know if she is poison? Number one, she does not know how to communicate or cope. She doesn't know how to communicate or cope. Everything is a blowover. She tries to fight you. She tries to curse you out. She switches things around. She doesn't know how to communicate. If you ask a question, then she switches this conversation or switches the situation to make it feel like it's you. She doesn't know how to communicate, really does not know how to have a healthy dialogue. She doesn't know how to express herself. If there is something that you have brought to her attention, she'll blow it up because she doesn't know how to sit down and have a conversation. Okay. Or she really does not have good, healthy coping mechanisms. So a lot of times when a woman carries toxicity in her soul, her coping mechanism is all other things. Man, I don't want to hear this. And then I'm going to either to drink it away, I'm going to sex it away, I'm going with my girlfriends and tell everything, because there's not a healthy coping mechanism. Number two, how do you know if a woman is poison, if she carries toxic traits? She doesn't respect you. Period. She does not respect you. She does not have respect for who you are as a man. She belittles you. Says all mean things to you. She certainly does not affirm you. And I know affirmation is one of the things that men really, really, not just that they desire, but that it is that they need. So a toxic woman is the opposite of that. It's the opposite of that. She does not respect you. She has said some very crazy things that you like, did you really just say that to me? And if you're toxic, then a lot of times you'll stay and take it. Or if the reason for you being there, if that's something that you need to deal with, king and priest foundationally, then that could be another question that you have to ask yourself as well. She just does not respect you. There's no need, for her to respect you. And men need loyalty. They need respect. Even in my book, I asked men, I spent 2 years doing a survey, and I asked men, what are the top 3 things that you need in relationship? And out of the majority of the men, they said it was trust. They said it was respect, and they said it was commitment. So number 2, she does not respect you. Number 3, she's selfish. It's all about her. It's all about her. It's her way or no way. It's her way or no way. She desires and she requires something of you that she's just not willing to give. She wants you to jump over troops. She wants you to do all of these things, but she's not willing to give the same level of respect. She's not willing to give the same level of selflessness that you give her. That. So number 3, she's selfish. She's not willing to give what it is that she desires and requires. We're talking about toxic traits. How do you know if a woman is poison? Number 4, she leads with seduction and sexual prowess. That's the bottom line. That is what she leads with, how sexy she is, what her sex appeal is, how she can sexually please you. That's what it is that she leads with, and all of those things. What are we talking about tonight? Kings and priests. We're talking about that girl is poison. Never trust a big button to smile. We're talking about men having vision beyond sight. So now that I've gotten past what she looks like externally, there are some internal traits, kings and priests, that you need to be aware of that are indicators if a woman is toxic. Seduction and sexual prowess. That is the bottom line. That's just her bottom line. Everything else is maneuvered around that. She manipulates you with that. And can I tell you, kings and priests, I'm going to be certainly very, very honest, if you've not disciplined yourself to the point where sex does not drive you, you are going to be caught up in a toxic relationship. You are going to be caught up in a cycle of toxicity, because if I can totally be honest, the majority of the reason of why we stay in toxic situations is because of who and how people are and how they perform in the bedroom. A lot of times we're sexually addicted to the experience of that person. And so now I can no longer really see your toxic traits. Because why? Because I'm blinded by your euphoria of your sexual encounter. Okay. Number 4, how do you know that she's toxic? Because she leads with seduction and sexual prowess. You're trying to have a conversation. You know it's something not right. And before you know it, she's trying to lay you down and make you forget everything. And you just flow right on into it. Right? So if we're gonna get something different, we have to do something different. Number 5, she's manipulative, a liar, a schemer, a plotter, cannot be trusted. And can I tell you, kings and priests, I really need y'all to lean in on this. I am a woman, right? But I operate because I have a healthy sense of self, because I love and I value myself, and because I operate from a healed place. There's just certain things that I just will not do. And I talk about it in my book as well. When women of value are present, there's just certain things that a woman of value is not going to allow. But check this, you all, there's certain things that a woman of value will not do. So certainly she's not using a man for her own personal gain. Women of value and women that really understand their true value do not do that. And so women that carry toxic traits are very manipulative. They're liars, they're schemers, and they're plotters. And can I just tell you, if I had not made the commitment to my personal development, to be yourself and not my lower self, I'm going to be honest. I know, men, it's very easy for us women to get what we want when we want it. We don't have to like you. We don't have to have anything to do with you. We can have sex with you, cut off that sexual side of us just to get what it is that we want. And you probably won't even know the difference. How do I know? Because I've done it. I've been there. And so I understand the importance of a woman's sexual prowess in her level of influence, right? And the it factor when it relates to men. And most importantly, when it's not subjected to a place of healthiness and wholeness, a woman can really operate from a place, bruh. And I know, if you be honest, you've been there. You've been bamboozled. Like, you really just gonna do this? Like, I don't believe she did that. You've been there. And why? And it's not that you didn't always know, but a lot of times, because of her sexual prowess and the euphoria that it gave you and that it brought to you, it blinded you, so you were not able to see these things. Or how about, can we be even more real? Some men don't even care to see because they're addicted to the sexual experience of a woman. So I know you using me, and that's when it becomes high-class prostitution, because listen, that thing is good. I want that. I'll give you whatever you want. It's a reality. It's a reality. But men, if you're looking for something different, right? If you're trying to be positioned for something different, if you're looking to have vision beyond sight, if you desire for a woman to want you for who you are and not just for what you can give her, and at your core, I mean, you can just keep it real, because tonight is for y'all. Tonight is for you all. If you really keep it real, you desire someone to love you for you. You don't want a woman wanting you for your money and what you can give her, and that's it, and she does not have any connection to you. You don't want that. She's going secretly behind your back, killing your babies, having abortions, secretly on birth control, and you, men, I'm telling you what toxic women do. I'm telling you what be done set you up and you have no idea. I'm telling you what toxic women do. Okay, so number five, going into that, when they make apologies, their apologies are not sincere. They'll do whatever it is just to get to the moment. And women, we're very intuitive, right? We're very intuitive. So a lot of times, that's why people say it's more, women are more sneaky when they're cheating. Men don't really know, because when we're ready to do something, and sometimes y'all have no idea. When you kind of sloppy with it. I'm talking about when a woman desires to do something, she's going to do it. Her apologies are really not from a place of commitment. She really doesn't really, her apologies are not sincere. She makes you feel like you are the problem. She's a master manipulator, right? So she knows how to turn the situation or play victim so that you'll feed into it. Right? So we're talking about toxic traits here. You can ask a question and she intentionally shuts you down. You can have, desiring to want some answers about something, and she intentionally shuts you down and knows how to do it. And before you know it, you eyes wide shut. You like, what happened? Whatever. Because men a lot of times don't like confrontation. So you're not going to keep asking the same thing over and over and over again. But as far as she's concerned, she has you where she wants you because she does what she wants when she wants it. And you have no level of accountability for her. That is consistent, because she knows only thing she have to do is turn that thing on, baby, and you done. It's time to rise up, men. It's time to rise up. So number six, how do you know when she is carrying a toxic trait? She uses you for her own selfish gain. We just talked about that. She uses you for her own selfish gain, for your status, for your affluence, for who you are, if it's going to help her get ahead. If she has children in her life and maybe her children's father are not around and she sees that you're a good man, she'll use you for that. She will. She'll use you for that. She'll use you for that. Number seven. Her tongue is a switchblade. How do you know when a woman carries a toxic trait? Her tongue is a switchblade. She will cut you with her tongue. She will cut you. She will say some of the most mean, defaming things to you. I mean, she's not a safe place. It may seem like she's a safe place at first. And then when you share your secrets with her, when you share, what the foundation of your strength or your vulnerabilities are, how do you know that she does not have the capacity to handle you? Because she throws things back in your face. She throws things back in your face, the place where you've given her the vulnerabilities of your heart, the things that she knows about you that no one else does. And when she got angry and when she got upset, she threw it back in your face. Not a safe place. Not a safe place. A woman that has a healthy esteem and a woman that's operating from a healthy place understands the power of a safe place to a man. And I tell my women, even in my academy and in my coaching and everything, sex is not the way how to connect with a man. It is through their emotions. And how is it that you tap into a man's emotions? You can swing from the chandelier, but can I tell you, any ladies that are listening, and men, if you agree, say you agree, that a man can be addicted to your sexual experience and want no other part of you but that. It's true. It's very, very true. So she's not a safe place. And the way through a man's emotions is through the vulnerability, is through the safe place that you create for him. It's through a safe place that you create for him. So how do you know? She literally throws you out there. She's not an agent of affirmation or healing. She literally throws you out there. She throws you out there, makes you feel totally uncovered, throws you under the bus, basically set you up. Basically set you up, things that she knows that you love, and she'll just, basically try to destroy it on purpose. A woman scorned is something, a woman that carries toxicity is something to be reckoned. She throws you out there. Now, let me put a caveat here, because I know some of my women are like, well, he made me act like this. He did this to me. right? He treated me like this. So I'm like this as a result of him. And so kings and priests, we're going to talk about that as well. Because if you are a cultivator, God created you to be a cultivator. That means you plant seeds in us. You plant a sperm, we give you a baby. That's how powerful a seed is. And so because the man is the cultivator, I got to put a pin right here. Because I'm not here coming at women, right? And women, like I said, we got something for you next week as well. But men, if everything that I'm saying, if what it is that you're hearing, if a part of your woman being this way, result of how you've treated her, then you have some things that you need to go ahead and internally deal with as well. Okay, so we're not going to get into that now. She mistreats her children and yours if that's the dynamic of it. She mistreats her children and you. You know, sometimes toxic women, and men do it too, but women, they don't want anything to do. They don't want anything to do. If you have children, if you have other things that you like and that you enjoy, a toxic woman, a selfish woman, she ain't trying to be in with all of that. She's in it for what she can get. She's in it for what she can get. So she's not interested in what you're interested in. She doesn't like to do the things you like to do. She could care less. You know, she'll put on a front because women are, masters at masks. We are masters at masks. We are masters at masks. Okay. So how else do you know when you're dealing with a woman with toxicity? She expects you to be toxic with her. If you're more laid back, and you just not really in a confrontation space, and you really, one of the ones that really don't like to argue, she's gonna make you because she's gonna nag you. She's gonna be picking a fight. She's gonna be very contentious, very combative, very argumentative. Why? Because she wants to pull you in that place of toxicity where she is. And then what you have to learn how to do, you have to learn how to shut it down. And here's the thing. Now, are you shutting it down just for that time? Or are you doing internal introspection and are you saying, you know what, I'm bigger than this. So whatever it is, nothing is worth my peace. Right? What does the scripture say? What does the Bible say? It's better for a man to live on the rooftop than in a home with a contentious woman. So it's very important that you understand if these are traits and you feel like you just can't take it anymore. Kings and priests, I have a challenge for you. Let it go. Who said you had to stay there? Let it go. Let it go because you matter. You matter. You absolutely matter. How is another way? Because her perception of love is jaded. Her perception of love is jaded. And it comes from her foundational upbringing. Her perception of love is jaded, and she could have saw someone that was in toxic relationships all of her life. So this is what she deems as love. Her perspective is jaded. She's drawn to triggers. She's drawn to people, places, and things that trigger the trauma in her. How do you know when a woman is toxic? Because she's drawn to the things, her triggers. Her triggers are things that lead her and take her into that toxic, traumatic, safe place. Because you do know people are most comfortable in toxicity. You just program themselves to want to be in a place of toxicity. Can I tell you, my gems, jewels, kings, and priests, we are in control of our own lives. Whatever you want to do, you do it. You don't have to stay in something that is not serving you. You don't have to stay in anything that brings out the lesser part of you and not the greater aspect of who you are. How do you know she has toxic traits? Because her trigger, she's drawn to the people, places, and things that trigger her trauma. So every time you turn around, she's in a traumatic relationship. If she's a daddyless daughter, then she's attracting motherless sons that really want you for your body, but hate you at the same time. I'm talking about unresolved trauma and toxicity. Unresolved trauma and toxicity. How do you know? Because her need for your attention from you and others is elevated. That's not enough. And she needs it from other people as well. How do you know these things? Because she looks for validation from other people. She looks for validation from other people. Now, I have lots more. And we're probably going to do a number 2. But what I want to talk about now is what causes toxicity in women. So we talked about toxic traits, right? But a teacher does what? Causes one to learn. Right? And so I'm not going to leave you like this. I'm certainly not going to say, good night, gentlemen. And these are the ways, these are indicators of how you know a toxic woman. No, we're going to talk about what causes toxicity in a woman. What is it that causes toxicity in a woman? Number 1, trauma does. What causes a woman to be everything that we just discussed previously? What causes the 14 indicators that we just went through? What causes a woman to be and to carry this level of toxicity? Number 1, trauma. And what is trauma? Trauma is simply put, something that happened in your life that was simply beyond your capacity to handle. It was something that was beyond your capacity to handle. Trauma is a wound. Trauma is a wound. Trauma is a wound. That's what trauma is. Trauma is a wound, right? And what is a wound? A wound is something that was traumatic when you happened. So when we go through traumas in our lives, whether it's a betrayal of parents, right? Whether it's a foundational betrayal, whether it's sexual abuse, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's trauma to her reality, unresolved, whether it's a cycle of unresolved relationships and heals and hurts, right? These are the things that create trauma in a woman. And men, I need you to lean in for a minute. And ladies, I need you to lean in as well. Because when a woman has a wound, right? And we know what a wound is. A wound is something that is basically a traumatic experience. And I'm going to tell you where toxicity comes in. I'm going to tell you where the poison then enters. Because anytime a wound goes untreated, that's when the infection comes in. And the infection is now toxicity. The infection is now a toxic soul. So if something happens, if you were betrayed, if you went without your foundational parents, if you were neglected and abandoned, if you were sexually abused, if you had these wounds and they're gone untreated, right? Going untreated, meaning you've never dealt with them. No one has ever walked you through them. So you just grow up in life. Oh, everyone knew she was molested by her cousin. No one did anything. Everyone knew that her mother's boyfriend was messing with her. No one never did anything. It was just something everyone knew. So there was never any help for it. There was never any support for it. There was never even therapy. Why? Because everyone swept it under the rug. No one said anything. No one said anything. The fact that she never knew her father, no one said anything. And we just go on as if these things do not matter, but they do. And so then what happens is when that wound goes untreated, it's still open, right? It's still open because it's not been healed, right? The stitches that needed, was never given. So now it's open. The wound is open. And so now the infection comes in as a result of an untreated wound. If you have a gunshot wound, if you have a knife wound, that wound needs treatment. And if it doesn't get proper treatment, what happens? It gets infected. And when something gets infected, then what happens? When something gets infected, then what happens? It's pussy. It's smelly. It can do greater damage than good now. Because the fact that it wasn't treated has done greater damage now. And that's where toxicity comes in. That's where toxicity comes in. Okay, so also what it is that What is another thing that causes trauma? What is another thing that causes, toxicity in women? It's unresolved issues. It's unresolved issues that women have, unresolved issues that we as women have. And as a result, she's been muted, right? And so, kings and priests, why am I saying that to you? Why am I saying that to you? Why did I just explain? Why did I just not only give you the indicators of a toxic woman, but why did I just let you know, kings and priests, where toxicity come from? Because everything begins with you. Everything begins with you. Now, am I saying to you what you saying? You telling me that this is my fault? Absolutely not. Unless it is. Unless it is. Unless subconsciously, unless in one way or another, you have committed, you have contributed to the toxicity of the woman, whether it's your woman, whether it's whoever it is. Right. And so the reason why I brought this to your attention is because men, you are God's idea in the earth. Before woman ever came along, you were there. You were there. You were there. And so the man has not only a responsibility, but the man has authority. Right? A man not only has the responsibility, but a man has authority to just simply do different things. Right? And so I have a few challenges for you, men. I have a few challenges for you before we adjourn for tonight. Okay. So I have my main question is, so if any of these indicators resonated with you and you can see yourself in them, I have a question for you is, what has drawn you to the poison that you're now attached to it? So my first challenge for you is, number one, is to understand who it is that you are, and to make sure that you are not being a contributor in any way to the toxicity of who we are as women. I know we talked about that girl is poison, never trust a big butt and a smile. I know we talked about that. I know we talked about that. But I have to be honest and say that women carry trauma that we didn't ask for. Sometimes we do. We carry trauma that we did not ask for. Right. And so again, so my challenge to you, if you're dealing with a woman, or you may have dealt with a woman and she has, daddy issues, kings, priests, be there for your children. They need you. They need you. Be there for your children. But before you can do that, you got to be there for yourself. You have to understand your identity and know who God has called you to be so that you can operate in that. Now, I'll be the first to say it all the time. Sometimes I just don't think it's fair because men, I feel like we're expected, us women, we're raised, to be princesses and to be prepared for marriage and to do this and to do that. Sometimes men are just thrown out there from the time they're 3, from the time that they're 2, they're cursed out. Shut up, don't cry. So men, right? So men foundationally in adolescence and in infancy are taught how to withhold their feelings. And I say it all the time. Sometimes, we expect too much of you, just be a man. And some men is like, what the heck is that? I don't know how to be, right? I don't know how to be. But now that you're older, now that you've come to a place, you do have a responsibility to do some things different. So number one is do your work. Understand who you are and understand who God has created you to be. My challenge for you, if you already are not, is to love and honor and respect us as women. I need to say that again. My challenges from my kings and my priests that are present here now and that will view this video. My challenge for you. Now, we've already talked about the indicators of a toxic woman. But my challenge for you is to respect and honor the woman. Because you are cultivators, right? When God created the man, he created the man as a cultivator. So a cultivator, again, is one that plants seed. And so if you can plant a seed in us and we give you a baby, what else are you planting in us? What else are you planting in us? So my challenge to you is to respect the woman, respect and honor the woman. And what do I mean by that? We don't need you to beat us. We don't need you to abuse us. We're more than sexual pleasure for you. We don't need you to want us, you'll want us to have your babies, right? Because it can't be without us, right? And we can cook you food and we can make you feel real good and we can provide a safe place, but you love us, but yet you hate us at the same time. How is it possible to both love and hate? Because you love what I bring, but you really hate who I am. My challenge for kings and priests, and that's where misogyny comes in. And see, when we talk about trauma, men carry trauma too. A lot of men, believe it or not, really have gone through with their motherless sons. And so if a man has been at his core, ladies, this is why, ladies and gentlemen, gems, jewels, kings, and priests, we need to learn how to do assessment. Just like we talked about never trust a big butt in a smile, we have to be able to have vision beyond sight. And if you're going to be getting serious with someone, you need to take the time and do assessment. Because if you're dealing with a motherless son, can I tell you that that man carries rejection? That man carries abandonment. And at his core, again, right, that toxicity. Why? Because his wound of rejection and abandonment is now infected. And so he has a toxic trait. And what is that toxic trait? Now, I love you for what your sex can do for me. I love you because of the arm candy that you are. I love you for everything else that you can do to me. But I really hate you because at my core, my mother left me. It's real and it happens. How else will a man be able to beat a woman so she's black and blue? How else will a man be able to literally kill a woman? I've not seen so many young girls being killed by men in relationships in my life. Now we done shifted. I've never seen in all of my days. I'm talking about young girls. I'm talking about millennials being killed by men, by their boyfriends. I sleep with you and you kill me. I have your baby and you beat me. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? So my challenge to the men is, number one, understand who it is that you are. Challenge number two is, please respect us and honor us. Don't love and hate us at the same time, because that's a toxic trait. That's a very, very, very toxic trait. To be able to love the woman and hate her at the same time. To love what it is that we can bring, but you hate us at the same time. And then another one of my challenges for the men is that just understanding men, and I'm going to tell you that we really, really, really need you. But we don't need you in the States sometimes. And God knows I'm not talking about everyone. But you can look on the news. You can look on the news. So whether, when my challenge to you is for you to do your internal work, for you to be healed of your wounds, so that a woman that wants to love you, you have women that really want and desire. So I know we just talked about indicators of the toxic woman, but there are really some really good women. And women, if I'm talking to you, if any of those indicators were you, sweetheart, you can be healed today. You can have that wound healed. You can have it healed. Because you want to discover the best in you to do what? To present the best of you. You want to discover the best in you to present the best of you. We don't want to suppress things and act as if they don't matter. Why? Because they come out in our everyday lives. They come out in our everyday lives, right? So my challenge for you, men, right, is just to really honor and respect us as women. Honor and respect us as women and get to the core of really what makes you that angry. What makes you that angry? Clearly, I can't make you that angry. I've not known you all of it. I met you with this. And ladies, we're going to talk about next week. My girl, Kate Michelle, can't raise a man. He's already grown. What you going to do? That's what we're talking about next week for the ladies. Can't raise a man. He's already grown. What are you going to do? Because if we're going to do love, y'all, and I always talk about, I'm just not that one. And I'm in the relationship space, but I'm just not that one that talks about manifesting and, you know, and meditating and stuff is going to show up. When it shows up, you have to be positioned for it. And how are you positioned for it? Because you've taken the time to discover the best in you to present the best of you. Because what's in you is going to come out. What is in you is going to come out. And if we're going to be positioned for love, if you desire depth, you know, if you desire width, if you desire height, then it's going to take some foundational things. You're going to have to learn how to trust again. You can't make every woman pay for that woman that broke your heart and that woman that betrayed you. You have to, love is a risk, my love, and you're going to have to take that risk. For my investors, you understand what a risk is. But just because it's a risk, it does not stop investors from investing because they understand that it's the risk. But what are the determining factors that when I weigh this thing out, when I do assess to get the rate of return that is needed? It's a risk. But some of us, you know, we've been hurt by women. You know, we've been betrayed by men, and then parts of us are closed off. So now we're still operating from a toxic place because it's like you can come over, but you can't go in that room. You can come over, but you can't go in there. I'll tell you where I can go. And then the moment someone comes in your life that comes from a healed place and that understands their function in anyone's life, and so they're coming in intentional and strategic. So really, you don't even have to tell them where to go. They know where to go because they understand what they're doing and they understand how to handle you. And then when you look up, you're like, oh my gosh, how did you get there? Then you start pushing away and now you're sabotaging. So your toxicity, your infected wounds are now causing you to sabotage everything good and only be drawn. Your triggers is trauma. That's what your triggers are. That's what your triggers are. So it's time to really, let's do some things different. It's time to really do some things different. And my kings and my priests, I've given you 14 indicators of toxic traits that a woman carries. But then I also gave you reasons as to what breeds toxicity in a woman. And so while you're looking at those traits, kings and priests, and while you're paying attention to those indicators, my challenge for you is to make sure that you're not a contributor to her wounds and to her trauma. My challenge for you is to show up and honor and respect the woman. We're not just for your sexual pleasure. We're not your bitch. We're not your hoe. We're not just meant to bend over. We're worth so much more than that. And ladies, can I tell you, it's one thing, and I talk about it in my book, it's one thing to, you know, for someone to view you a certain way, but it's a whole different dynamic for you to view yourself as that. Now, I'm the first to tell you, I believe that we live in an over-sexualized population. I just believe it. You got a woman bent over half naked for a car commercial. What the heck does that have to do with selling a car? So we already know that we live in an over-sexualized population where the woman is over-sexualized. But ladies, can I tell you before I go tonight, it's one thing for someone to over-sexualize you, but it's a different dynamic and a different level of toxicity for you to sexualize, over-sexualize yourself. Different dynamic, different dynamic. Different dynamic. So that is our chat for tonight. Kings and priests, thank you for joining us. Gems and jewels, thank you for eavesdropping. We are coming next week talking about can't raise a man. He's already grown. Girl, what you gonna do? You wonder why he acts like a boy, because he wasn't raised right before you. It's foundational, y'all. It's foundational. And we are here for it. Before next time, until next time, I am Atiya Stevenson. I am your author, your speaker, and your coach. Make sure you order our book, www.nogreenbeans.com. Women and men are loving it all over, all over. The title is No Green Beans, A Woman's Guide to Becoming the Ultimate 5-Course Experience. It's been an absolute delight to be here with you tonight. And kings and priests, do not forget your challenge. You have a challenge to discover who it is that you are, and that's who God created you to be, to honor and respect us as women, right? And make sure you're not a contributor to the toxic traits and indicators that I gave above. I love you all so much. Have a great, great night. Bye-bye. Oh, wait. Oh.